Welcome to the smallest city in the entire United Kingdom, and today we're going to walk around one of the places where one of my favorite films was made, Hot Fuzz. You might recognize this as a Cornetto ice cream. It's part of the Cornetto trilogy made by Edgar Wright, starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in a quintessential British film. I'm Ariel, this is Urbanist. Let me know where you're watching from in the smallest city in all of England. Now, there's one caveat to that stat, and I'll tell you soon, but this is the city of Wells, and it's named Wells because there's a few wells. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Here's one of them. There's two other wells. Maybe we'll see them later. They're dedicated to St. Andrew. And right over here we also see why this city only has 10,000 people and it's still considered a city. Yeah. Why is this? Well, it's because of that huge cathedral. So welcome everyone to the smallest city in England. I wanted to give a huge round of hearts, everyone, to Urbanist has been watching for a very long time, Janet. She's based in England, and she showed me around a few areas here in Somerset, including Cheddar nearby. So it was so awesome for her to show me around, and she also helped me retrieve a jacket I lost while we stopped at a brunch place. Something else, and she was able to get it for me. So I was so grateful. So Janet, who we just separated ways, but she showed me a little bit around this area of Somerset. So is a city is because of that cathedral. This cathedral has been around since the 1100s. We're going to get closer to it. It's only 10,000 people. Now, technically, it is not number one in the smallest city. It's technically number two. But I think this technicality shouldn't be considered, because the real smallest city in England is the city of London, which is the ceremonial city within the larger London, the city. But that city is basically like a neighborhood, especially the way it functions. So in essence, this is the smallest city because there's no urban center surrounding it. This is just one little city of 10,000 people. But this is also the main filming location of Hot Fuzz, which was directed by Edgar Wright, starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. One of my favorite movies of all time. And one of the major shootouts happened here. Cue the pigeons, because they actually did a scene where there was a massive shootout and pigeons started flying. And that film is called the Cornetto trilogy. And the reason they called the Cornetto trilogy was because there was two other films made. Shaun of the Dead, which is a film about zombies. It was a comedy done in the suburbs of London. It's played by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Eat some Cornettos. Second film, Hot Fuzz, same thing, they eat some Cornettos. There's no relationship between those two films, and there's no relationship with the third one, just happens to be the same actors and director, and they also eat Cornettos. And that film is The World's End, which is also one of my other favorites. So I'm so excited to walk around. Let me know where you're watching from. And after this video, if you haven't seen Hot Fuzz, check out Hot Fuzz. I'm not gonna mention too many spoilers, just very light. So if you'd rather know nothing about the film, then maybe pause this now and then come back. So right here is where a few major scenes happen, right at the well. So in the very beginning of the film, Nick Frost's character actually collides with his car onto this well. He comes out of one of these pubs here, the Crown Pub. Comes out of this Crown Pub. It wasn't filmed in location inside, but the exteriors were. He comes out very drunk. A police officer who is so good at his job in London that everyone wants him to go because he's making everyone else look bad. So they send him to the smallest town in all of England that's very sleepy and has the safest place in the entire country. And that's the fictional town of Sandford. So it is not actually Wells in the film. Who's shown as to be a bumbling idiot, at least in the beginning. and he drunkenly hits this well and ruins it. Luckily, no wells were harmed in the making of that film, but he quickly finds out that Nick Frost is actually the cop, one of the main cops in this fictional city of Sanford, which makes for a very hilarious duo. A super overachiever cop and another cop that is a big underachiever. A lot of scenes happen here in the town center. I'll show you before. Ginny says, ooh, we know there are Brits. Come out of the pubs very drunk. Yep, Ginny. Dave says, I love Hot Fuzz. Me too. I love Hot Fuzz. I'm so excited to be here in the city. So here's where I bought the Cornetto, because this actual place is still open, because the film was made about 15 years ago, is where those two characters buy their Cornettos. And they eat a lot of Cornettos in this particular film. So Cornetto is like an ice cream brand. This is Cornetto Classico. I don't think this exists in the US. I haven't seen it in the US. I haven't even tried it yet, so maybe I'll try it soon before it melts. But this is where they actually buy it, also filmed. And they have a little Easter egg here for anyone passing through. So here's a wanted poster. Wanted, swan, reward for capture. 2 feet tall, long slender neck, orange and black bill. If found, contact Mr. P.L. Staker or Sergeant Nicholas Angel. That is the character played by Simon Pegg. And this, in the film, they were hunting down a swan. But that wasn't the main. And mega urbanists, stay tuned. Some mega urbanists will be getting a post from here. There's a cathedral, and then we're kind of just going to wander around. This is not a specific tour. Alex says it was the swan all along. So here's the poster of the film. Big cops, small town, moderate violence. There was a market here a little bit earlier. B. Griffin says, is this the whole town? It's only 10,000 people. So basically, yes. I mean, we're not going to see that much more. The Swan story is based on the real story, says Vicky. Really? Here's the Crown at West. Pubs. I'll take a peek inside. Hey, Susie, good morning, good afternoon, good everything. I'm excited to be in this wonderful place. Had a great brunch here at a place called Loaf. Highly recommend it. Had a full English breakfast. And I wish this didn't, because there was a great market here. There was even a little mobile street cafe as well. Rosemary says, you're safe in this town. Yeah, this is a very safe town. It's so small. In the film, it was ironically the safest town in the UK. I wouldn't doubt that it's actually not far from reality. Are you sure that is the safest town? Well, with the swans on the loose. Cheese vendors, because Somerset is known for its cheese, and it's also known for its cider, which I have. How old is the film, says Wendy? If anyone can let me know the exact date of the film, I forgot exactly when it came out. About 15 years ago. Beverly says, looks so neat. Oh yeah. So more scenes happen here. The city of Wells actually provides, sorry for it being blurry, couldn't find a high resolution one. The city of Wells provided a walking tour of Sanford, of where it was filmed. So we already stopped by the Cornettos over here. And I think this might be the gate. Yeah, this is the gate right over here. Yep, right over here. Bit of... So there's two things you have to watch out for. I gotta whisper this. Two things you have to watch out for. One, it's the swans. Because swans, they're dangerous and on the loose. But two, it's the elderly. Because in the film, the villains were the elderly. As I mentioned, I'm going to mention some minor spoilers. It's not going to ruin the film for you. But if you don't want to know nothing, then stop watching now and then come back later. But in the film, a lot of the older residents of this so-called safest city in England keep saying the same thing all the time. For the greater good. It's for the greater good. It's their mantra. And the cop, played by Simon Pegg, finds it so eerie as to why? Why is it so safe? Vicious residents that somehow seem to have everything under control. But then crimes start happening, murders. Who's responsible for these murders in this so-called safest city in all of England? Well, you have to watch the movie for that. But it does feature James Bond, Timothy Dalton, which is one of the more Wendy says, thanks for the spoiler. It's not a big spoiler. Let me put on my mic again. Let's go. Are there any old ladies with yapping dogs? There was actually a lot of dogs. Went to this cafe earlier called 21. It was really good. Beautiful little houses here. And shops. And see this in the context of the film, they were also very obsessed with their gardening awards. Amy says, send 200 stars. Thank you so much. The NWA. Yes, Vicky. Yep, that was the name. That was the name of a certain group in the film. Well, I won't say any more because I think people will enjoy the film after seeing this. It still says swans and elderly. How curious. Yeah, it's a comedy. Here at Wells Cathedral, it's known as one of the more picturesque cathedrals in all of England. Right there in the distance, we have a bright, blinding light. And they're actually filming right inside here. They're filming a series called Straight Shooter. Don't know too much about it. The film Hot Fuzz actually couldn't go inside the cathedral, so they filmed mostly in the exterior. It featured a whole lot of famous British actors. So if you're really into British cinema, this film featured the best of the best. And there was a scene where there was like a town's fair out here, and then suddenly one of the people in the town is murdered. I won't say much more than that. It's right outside here in the cathedral. Built in the 1100s, this is the reason why Wells, with only 10,000 people, is considered a city, with only really one high street. I mean, I think we're going to see most of the city today. And the reason for that is in England, the United Kingdom, is just in general, if you have a cathedral, you're considered a city. It's not the case in the US. And here we see pretty much the brunt of everything. So it says the beautiful city of Wells, nestling in the Mendip Hills, is a well-preserved gem of a medieval city. And we do see some of the walls and the fortifications that used to be here. Also the huge trucks for the set. It remains charmingly small in size, with only the city of London narrowly beating it. Yeah, as I mentioned, it's the technicality. Wells takes its name from the springs, or wells, which rise within the gardens of the Bishop's Palace. Being an important source for a local community, springs have been a focus of spiritual interest to people since prehistory. St. Andrew's Well and other wells suggest a long history of religious significance. Kay says same thing with Kilkenny. We're a city because of two cathedrals. Yeah, yep. Kay, still these old rules in Europe. All right, who wants to go be a part of a Netflix series? Let me know. Does anyone want to be part of the next big Netflix series? Straight shooter. I can sneak in saying that I'm doing content for the behind the scenes. Wow, I wish we can go in, but there's filming currently happening inside. Ooh, cold, cold, cold. Can't get too close to the cathedral because in the film, the murderer used the cathedral as his weapon. I shall say no more. No more. Beautiful decoration outside. Lots of statues. 1100 took a few centuries to complete. Crows and magpies are using it as their nests. And B. Griffin says Nightbot made it to Wells. Nomad says muchas veces me pregunto cómo han logrado tan bellas decoraciones. A lot of times I ask myself, how did they achieve such beautiful decorations? Sí, es maravilloso como ellos tuvieron tanto tiempo y tantas personas a construir cada de estas esculturas. It's really amazing how they had so many people and so much time to build all these sculptures. The place is stunning, says Gwen. Oh, I'm so glad. Trucks for the Hollywood set. There's a Wells Museum. Is it open at this time? Let's check out the set. Uh-oh, for whom the bell tolls. This is an interesting cathedral because it's mostly standing on its own. Usually cathedrals are within the cityscape, but this one almost is not surrounded by any major buildings. Entire Netflix production company in order to film the exclusive Patreon bonus tour of inside the cathedral. So here's the lighting setup. Patreons are getting a nice Netflix level production bonus footage. Wendy says, wish we can go in. Yeah, me too. B. Griffith says the bell tolls for the swan's next victim. Yeah. Eileen says, "Do you not stop and speak to people? They're very friendly," says Eileen. Eileen, it's not really my style. I like to chat with people, but I don't know. It's something that takes a lot of nuance when carrying around a camera. I do it sometimes, especially if I just pop into a cafe or a shop, but generally I don't do that. So I bet there's other content out there you can find about chatting with people. And the soul saxophonist plays in the distance, echoing in the halls of antiquity. Follow the music. Alex is quoting the film. It says everybody and their mums are packing around here. Oh, this is a music school, I think. Someone's having like a recital. Yep, it's a. I hope I'm back. Hey, are you able to see me and hear me? Let me know. Otherwise, I'll go live in the lower quality. Let me know if you're able to see me and hear me. Oh, wow.